Hi and welcome to our YouTube channel. In today's video I wanted to talk to you about applying, blending and coloring latex appliances. Latex appliances are very popular for Halloween themed parties or any occasion on which you would need fake horns, ears, noses, chins or wounds like these. So these are the latex appliances, and as you can imagine, if you would just stick them on your skin and don't do anything with them, they don't really tend to look that good. But if you would add a few extra steps besides only applying them with a bit of glue, you can really make them look amazing. And that's what we're gonna do today. So my name is Linda. I am the owner of SchminkenGrime, a special effects makeup store in the Netherlands. And I am also a special effects makeup artist. And for today's video, we are gonna use some of the Vught latex appliances. So as I just said, there are very many different varieties of these appliances, and these are the Night Stalker ones. So in the set are 3 appliances, a big one and 2 smaller ones, and you can just stick them anywhere on your skin you would like. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm just going to glue them on my skin and I'm going to blend them so you can see what you can do to make them look really good. So as I'm going to apply these prosthetics, I'm also going to answer a few very frequently asked questions at our store. So the most asked question is, can I apply these appliances with liquid latex? It is something I have at home, and can I stick them on the skin with latex and will they stay? Well, the answer is yes. If you would just apply a little bit of liquid latex on the back of these prosthetics and stick them to your skin, they will definitely stay on your skin because the latex dries, and that makes the appliance stick. But I don't really like to use liquid latex for applying the prosthetics, because the thought of all the moist of the latex getting in my skin and staying between my skin and the prosthetic is not really something I prefer. So I stick them on my skin using Prosade. This is a medical adhesive to apply real prosthetics with, but also makeup prosthetics go on really well with Prosade. So I have a little cup with Prosade in there, and there are special brushes you can use to apply Prosade on your skin, and you can clean those brushes. But I really like to use Q-tips, basically because I can throw them away once I'm done with them, and that saves me cleaning the brushes. So what you want to do is get your adhesive. I use Prosade, but you could also use spirit gum or Aquafix or a prosthetic adhesive by Ben Nye. There are loads of different adhesives for the skin. I just prefer and always work with the Prosade. So what you want to do is apply the adhesive on the entire back of the prosthetic, and you want to apply it in a very, very thin layer. So it isn't a trick to apply a thick layer so it would stick better. The thinner the layer, the better the adhesion. So when you have the Prosade, it is white, but once it dries, it becomes transparent. So now I have the glue on the entire back of the prosthetic, and what we're going to do is we're going to wait for it to become completely transparent before we are going to stick it on the skin. And for today's video, I'm only putting the glue on the back of the prosthetic. If you would want an even better adhesion of your prosthetic, you could put the glue on your skin and on the back of the prosthetic as well. If you apply the glue on both surfaces, it will stick even better. So if you would want to map out on your skin where you should put the glue, if you are going to use that method, I can quickly show you. You would get a little bit of setting powder and a powder brush. And if I would want this prosthetic on my cheek, I would get that powder brush with loads of powder, and I would just apply the powder around that prosthetic, and when I remove it from the skin you can see kind of a little map of where I should put the glue on my skin. So if you would do that, the adhesion is way better than only applying it to the back of the prosthetic. But as I don't really have anywhere to go with them tonight, I'm just going to apply them to the prosthetics. So there is a little wrinkle in this one that usually makes it a bit more difficult to get them on the skin and blend them, but with a bit of patience we should be able to. So there is glue on the back of all 3 of these prosthetics. So I have a very big one and I didn't really check if it would fit on my forehead. So let me quickly check that out. Yeah, I can fit it on my forehead. So I put the Prosate on there and that has dried. So now I am gently pressing the appliance down on my skin, and as you can see it sticks really well, but you can really see those edges of the prosthetic, and of course we do really want to lose those edges in a little bit. So I also have these small ones and I think we should keep them kind of on the same side of my face. To blend the edges of these prosthetics you have a few different options. I like to use Prosate cream to blend the edges, but that is kind of an expensive option. So Prosate cream just is a thickened version of the regular Prosate, and as a cream you can kind of build with it, and we do want to build height between my skin and the edge of the prosthetic, just to make that transition from my skin to the prosthetic disappear. So if you have a little non-latex foam sponge and you put a little bit of that Prosate paste on there, you can dab over the edge of the prosthetic and the paste will fill the gap between your skin and the prosthetic. So you will still be able to see those edges once the Prosate paste dries, because it also dries transparent, but once you start coloring it, it will disappear completely. So I won't go in my hairline, I will just stop there. What's also very important to know is that you can definitely remove Prosate from your hair. It will just come out of my eyebrow, it would come out of my hair. That isn't the case if you're going to cover the edges with latex. You definitely don't want to get any latex in your hair, because removing it is a pain, and the chances that you do remove the hairs that you put latex in is very big. And well, most people are very fond of their eyebrows and their hair, so don't put any latex in there. So this layer has to dry, and we know it is dry once it has become completely transparent. So we're going to continue to the small one on my cheek, and that one I'm going to cover with latex, so you can see the difference in applying latex to applying the Prosate paste. I have a new non-latex foam sponge and I dipped it in a little bit of the liquid latex, and now I am going to do the same process as I did with the Prosate paste, but now I'm doing it with the liquid latex. So I have that little fold in my appliance here on my cheek, and I will just try to cover it as well as I can with the liquid latex. So I'm dabbing it on the edge. It doesn't really matter if it gets on the prosthetic very far or it doesn't, as long as that edge is covered. And that is my layer of latex. So this also needs to dry completely and become transparent, and then we can check if we have really covered all the edges and if we can continue to coloring our wounds, or if we need to apply more Prosate paste or liquid latex. Now everything is dried and transparent, or at least almost transparent. We are going to powder it. So powdering it has two purposes. The first one is it gets rid of the stickiness of both the latex and the glue. And the second one is that you can see if you have blended the edges and they have become invisible. So for the one on my forehead, the blending stopped somewhere along my hairline. But for the rest, I have blended the entire thing. So there we go. And I need my mirror to check if I did a good job or if I have missed any spots. Them, and it's time to get some color on the skin. So in front of me are a few Encore alcohol activated makeup palettes. I have the skin tones light to dark, and I have the skin cover up palette. So as you can see, I have the skin cover up palette. I've had that one for ages, and a few colors are almost gone, so that is why I now also have the light to dark. Very fancy, I know, but you just need a few skin tones. So as you might know, you have to activate the alcohol activated makeup palettes with alcohol or with the activator that is provided and created by, for instance, Encore or European Body Art, that is. So I have my alcohol and I'm just going to start out with this pinkish color, because when I look at my skin and when I look at the prosthetics, they are just way too light for my skin tone. So you want to work with alcohol activated makeup in very thin washes, and I am using a stippling brush. So this one is by Titanic FX. It is brush number 109 and it is a round stippling brush. So what I'm going to do is basically stay on the prosthetic to start with. I can see that they are just not pink enough for my skin tone, or they are at least way too light. So I'm going to add a little bit of pink to them. Usually for my skin tone, that is a great place to start. And I'm going to color the entire thing. And once I have that on there, I can check what else I am missing to make it look more realistic and convincing on my skin. So here is the first layer. I have all of that powder still looking kind of white on my skin. And as you can see, the pink already helps to make it more into my skin tone. So what I'm gonna do next is get a bit of that green that is on here, just a tiny little bit, because most European women have kind of olive toned skin, and I'm gonna put that a bit on there as well. So just a bit, not too much. And by stippling it on there, you get all those lovely thin washes that we really want in an alcohol activated makeup. So that is way better already. I do have a few spots here that I need to work on. And getting alcohol activated makeup on your skin and making it look convincing is really using more than a few colors and mixing and matching in thin layers until you have the desired effect. So it's different with foundation, for instance. You want to be as evenly colored as you can possibly be. But with an alcohol activated makeup, you want to mimic the skin that is really the color. So for instance, I have loads of red in my cheeks. So I have to make that prosthetic in a bit of red as well to make the edge disappear. Now I'm happy with the skin tone. It's time to put some attention to the inside of the wound, because it is colored, but it could use a bit more than it has. And I think it can use a bit more dark colors. I think the inside of the big wound is kind of pinkish, and that's a good thing. I mean, it's basically colored, but if we would add a little bit of real red color to it, we can just add a bit more depth and realism. So there is a bit of red in that one, and we will also put a bit of red in this one. So as you can see, just a bit more red instead of pink already helps our wound come to life a little bit. But that isn't all we are going to do. We are also going to add blood to this. And I think for today I am going to use the dried contour gel blood, and I'm going to use the slow flow blood because I do want the blood to flow, but just not that much. So I'm putting my alcohol activated makeup palettes to the side, and I'm going to get a new cup. The cup is for my slow flow blood because obviously you don't want to use any of these products directly from the package on the skin. Especially now with Corona and all, we just want to work very hygienic. So I have a mixing palette and the thick blood. So this is the contour blood gel in the color dried. So it is a dried blood color. It's very dark. I really like it. I'm just going to apply it on the inside of that wound to add a bit of realism to it. So usually I put a thick blood inside of a wound and a thin blood. So the thick blood will stay in place. It doesn't move after you have applied it, and the liquid blood is to give it some shine and some realism and have something to get out of the wound, or a drip out of the wound, if that is what you would call it. But combining a thick blood and a liquid blood is kind of my standard, and this blood is really amazing. It is very dark, it looks very convincing, and you can really play around with it. So there is my thick blood. I'm kind of happy with the way it looks. And here also is a little bit of thick blood in that small wound. So you don't want to fill up the entire wound because that would take away all the amazing depth that the Vught team has put into it. But you definitely want to add some blood to it. So I have the liquid blood as well, and I'm going to apply that to the wound with a brush. So I know loads of people who just use it from the bottle or drip it on there in some way, but I like to really precisely put the blood on the wound where I want it to be. So I really want that blood on the edges of this wound. And I also want a bit of blood, obviously, in a bit to come out of that wound. So this is the slow flow blood by the Dark Arts company. That means it's slowly flows from where you put it. So probably it will stay in my eyebrow. And this is kind of flowing sideways because I was tilting my head while applying the other blood. That is something to think about as well. Just keep a straight face when you want something to run down your skin. But that is it. Applying latex prosthetics, covering the edge with either prostate paste or liquid latex, coloring them in a skin tone and applying blood to the wounds in this case to make them look real and convincing. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel in the link below to stay tuned on all the videos we upload to our channel. For now, I wish you a wonderful day, and of course I hope to see you back here next time.